Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So unfortunately, everybody has been hearing on the news lately the fires that literally made Los Angeles, certain parts of Los Angeles, California, look like hell. That's the best way to explain it. People's houses have been destroyed, their possessions lost, turned to ashes. Y'all, some of these people had to evacuate and they came back to nothing. Nothing at all. None of their stuff is retrievable. It's very unfortunate. There are people who are heartbroken because they have been working for these things their entire lives. Some of these people had houses that they received from their parents and grandparents who cannot afford houses in today's market because the house that their grandparents or parents bought was so much cheaper before. It's gone now, and they don't know what to do. There was a woman on the news saying, "We lost everything. I don't know how we're going to recover, but we're going to do it somehow." Some people are still trying to be as strong as they can, but people are hurting, they are broken because they have lost their things, and it's devastating. People's lives have been lost, even worse, because things you can get back. It's going to take some time and a lot of work, but you can't get back somebody's life. You can't get back your own life if you lose it in a natural disaster. So many people have lost, and it is very devastating. My heart goes out to the people who lost relatives, family members, friends, and their things, and I just hope and pray that God be with them and strengthen them as they go through this. Now, there are some particular instances that the news pointed out that I want to draw some attention to because people, whenever these kind of things happen, whether it's a fire, a hurricane, tornado, whenever you are evacuating, whenever you see the danger is near and there is no way for you to stop it, the only thing you can do is evacuate. You need to evacuate. The importance is your life, your health, your well-being, and that of the people around you. It is unfortunate, once again, all of the things that these people lost, although to some degree they can get this back. Once again, if they lose their lives, they cannot get that back. That is what should be important. Don't try to take stuff or try to save stuff from being destroyed. Escape. If you have to leave with just the clothes on your back, at least you will live to see another day. Your family will live to hug you another day. But there are some people, unfortunately, who got caught and they didn't have the help that they needed. And that's another thing some people don't think about. And unfortunately, some people tried to go back to try and save their houses and they got caught in the fire and they did not make it. And I quote, Victor Shaw stayed behind to try to fight the Eaton fire and was found holding a garden hose in his hand after the blaze swept through his neighborhood, end quote. Basically, this man was an older man who shared a house with his sister. If I'm not mistaken, it was a house, once again, many situations like this they had from previous years. I believe their parents passed down to them. So I understand that he wanted to try and save his house. But again, with the kind of danger they were under, the only thing you can do is save yourself, save your life. Sherry Shaw, his sister, told news outlet KTLA she tried to get her brother to evacuate with her on Tuesday night as the fire approached the home they shared. He told her he wanted to stay behind and try to fight the fire. She recalled, "When I went back in and yelled out his name, he didn't reply back and I had to get out because the embers were so big and flying like a firestorm. I had to save myself," she said, "and I looked behind me and the house was starting to go up in flames and I had to leave." She told another news outlet, CBC News, that he wasn't in the best of health, but know that he fought with all his will, end quote. Now, allegedly, he was having some health issues like diabetes, if I'm not mistaken, and something else was going on. And that's what she meant by he was having some health issues. Like I said before, she was trying to get out. She went to him to wake him up and she was like, "We have to get out of here because the flames are coming and we have to leave." And he said, "I'm going to go to try and save the house." And he just, left without her to do that. She tried to get him to evacuate. I don't know what else, people were expecting her to be able to do in that situation. And once she left waiting for him, that's when the flames took over and I don't think that she could go back for him because at that point, her path was engulfed, if you will. Allegedly. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. So she couldn't go back for him. It was too late, unfortunately. And then they found his body later on, still holding the fire hose that he was trying to use to put out the fire to save their home, unfortunately. And I quote, Anthony Mitchell, a 67-year-old amputee, and his son Justin, who has cerebral palsy, were waiting for an ambulance to come for them. They didn't make it out, said Mitchell's daughter. She said authorities told the family Mitchell was found by the side of his son's bed in Altadena. The Washington Post reported the family believes Mitchell was trying to save his son, who was in his early 20s. He was not going to leave his son behind no matter what, his daughter said, who lives in Warren, Arkansas, and is Justin's stepsister, said her father called her Wednesday morning and said that they had to evacuate from approaching flames. Then he said, I've got to go, the fire's in the yard. Another son, also in his 20s, lived with the pair, but was in the hospital and no caregivers were on hand, White said, adding, it's very hard. It's like a ton of bricks just fell on me, end quote. Once again, this is something that people don't think about. During times of evacuation, there are people who cannot evacuate. Either they don't have the money to do so, or they are disabled and they need help. They need caregivers, if you will, to help them do that. And unfortunately, this man was caught in a situation where he did not have that. Despite that, he still stayed by his son's side to the very end. Like I said, this is very, very devastating and very heartbreaking. And unfortunately, due to certain circumstances, such as these, the news and other individuals, the investigators, believe, unfortunately, that there may be more bodies found once they start going through the rubble. Once all of the fires finally dissipate and they start cleaning up the rubble, that unfortunately they may be finding more bodies because of situations like these where people could not escape. Maybe they were asleep and then the fire engulfed their entire house before they could wake up and get out, or maybe they were disabled. Like I said, it's very devastating and it's very unfortunate. There was another elderly individual, Rodney Nickerson, who decided to basically wait it out. An 82-year-old man in the Altadena area who felt like he could just ride it out, if you will, wait it out in his home. Once again, this is a big no-no during natural disasters. Whether it's a fire, flash flooding, hurricane, whatever it is, you do not wait it out in your house, especially if it is already upon you. Now, part of the reason why his daughter said, as she was speaking to the news outlets, that he did this was because he had already been through some fires in that area. And he felt like, oh, I survived those, so I'll be fine in this one. But once again, it takes nothing away from you to be safe. Rather you be safe than sorry. Even if you just have to pack up some things and go away and come back shortly thereafter, if it's not as bad as you thought that it was. But that's better than risking your life on the chance that it might be as bad or even worse as you're thinking that it could be. Another reason was that allegedly, according to his daughter, and I quote, her father bought the home in 1968 with a $5 down payment and raised his family there, end quote. So once again, people are not going to be able to get these homes back the way that they were back in the day because of how cheap homes were back in the day compared to now. But that is still no reason to not exercise caution, to not be safe. Once again, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. You're going to weep for a while over the stuff that you lost, but at least you are still here to be able to do that. There was another situation quite similar to this one. An elderly woman, 83 years old, also in that same area, who did not want to leave because she said that there were no fires that really reached her home in the past, that there had been fires in that area, but they never did the devastation that was done this time. So she didn't think it would actually happen. Once again, there's nothing being taken away from you by exercising caution. Now, her granddaughter spoke to the news and said, and I quote, she was adamant about staying, end quote. Both her granddaughter and her son-in-law, her grandson-in-law, if you will, who was her granddaughter's husband, offered to take her with them, asking her, are you sure you don't want to come with us? But she was very adamant, like she said about staying. And I quote, after moving from Monmouth, Illinois, Kelly and her late husband, Howard, bought their house in the late 1960s and raised 2 kids there. Miss Navarro said she and her husband and 2 kids moved in with her grandmother after their grandfather's passing. Her father, who lives 10 minutes away, also tried to get her grandmother to leave, but she refused. Miss Navarro and her family, as well as her father, evacuated the area after receiving orders to do so. She kept in constant contact with her grandmother over text, she said. The service cut out at one point, but her grandmother sent one last text to her father in the middle of the night saying she would be evacuated. When her father went to check on their home the next day, nothing was left of their home but rubble. Police confirmed, unfortunately, that her grandmother had passed away, end quote. As I said before, when it is time to leave, you must leave. I get that a lot of people, they were attached to these homes. That's quite normal. This is your humble abode, a place where you go to spend time with your family, to relax away from the troubles of the world, your job, other people who don't care about you. It's quite natural to have that attachment. Although when disaster strikes, you must do what is necessary. You've got to insert a little bit of truth in here. Like I said, it's unfortunate that people had to leave their things behind to be destroyed. But again, what is more important is your life and your well-being and your safety. Unfortunately, there was a repeated incidents here, circumstances, situations, if you will, where there were, older people, like I said before, who did not want to leave because those houses had a lot of value to them. And again, they knew that there was no going back after that house was destroyed, that people were trying to get their grandparents or their parents to leave with them and they would not. And then at the last minute, they were like, it was a mistake for me to stay. But unfortunately, it was too late. And it's really sad. Once again, this is why I'm emphasizing the importance of when it is time to leave, you must leave. Whenever they tell you you need to evacuate, you need to get out of there. Because when you're stuck, there's no going back. A lot of people get upset because, oh, well, why didn't somebody do this or why didn't somebody do that? But again, whenever they're issuing the evacuation notices, whenever you see things are going bad, there's no, oh, well, it hasn't happened before. You've got to use wisdom. You've got to make the good judgment call to leave, to make sure your safety is good, the safety of those who you're responsible for. And again, if you don't make that decision, what follows is not going to be good. We have to be 100% truthful. Once again, people try to get their people to evacuate. Sometimes it even has to be I'm picking you up and carrying you out here if that's what I have to do. But others try to respect, another person's, if you decide to stay, then go ahead and stay. But again, I'm leaving that up to the individual person's decision to make. Once again, be careful, use wisdom, be safe. God help all the people who lost family members, who lost pets, who lost friends, who lost everything that they lost. At least they got out with their life. Thank God for the people who got out with their life. And I pray that God helps them get back everything that they lost and then some. And comfort the people, once again, who lost people, who lost friends, who lost their pets. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this and how y'all feel about it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.